The show showcases Frank in his dream Ftopia. Everyone was happy with Frank for making their dream world come true. They danced and sang songs thanking Frank for everything. Barry met with Frank at that moment with the good news, saying Brenda has been brought back to life. Frank rushes to her, but at that moment she is squashed as Frank wakes up realizing it was a nightmare. Frank prepared for the day with his human ally Jack and got outside, but the people were not happy with him at all for siding with a human, their oppressors. He addressed the crowd stating they should share things amongst themselves as they had to work together to build cool world. So, Jack joined them, and they began to gather refrigerators and pulled it up, but one of them got fed up with Frank working with their oppressor, so he let go, and soon the others joined as the refrigerator fell off, and the weight sent Jack flying. Frank was pissed as he knew they left the rope on purpose and tried making them understand the world he is trying to build, but it fell on deaf ears. Barry went into a passage where he spotted weird drawings of him, and even that of Frank with Jack. It turns out they see Frank as the enemy and want him gone. Frank and Jack got home as Jack had a back pain caused by the fall earlier. Barry and Sammy visited Frank at that moment. Barry tried to persuade him to abandon Jack, but Frank saw Jack as a workforce and a means to make everyone comply. Frank wanted to uphold Brenda's wishes at all costs, and as they couldn't come to an agreement, Frank left with Jack. Barry and Sammy were walking together when they spotted Potatoes and Donut rushing somewhere with a note. Figuring they must be up to something, Barry and Sammy decided to follow, but Sammy stepped on a metal alerting them, and they ran off. Barry and Sammy chased, and caught them as Barry pinned them while Sammy opened the note and realized it was a map, a plot. Jack and Frank were together as Jax asked him whether he was going to be accepted once their mission was complete, but Frank didn't give a concrete answer as Jack stroked him lightly, giving him an intimate and alluring massage. Meanwhile, Barry and Sammy tied up Potato and Donut and disguised as them to find out their plan. The secret meeting was about to begin as the members wondered why Potato and Donut haven't arrived. Soon, Barry and Sammy disguised as Potato and Donut arrived and joined them. In the meeting, they realized the group planned to lure Barry away from the store, make their way to Frank and Jack, and kill them. Ice-T brought out several knives to be used for the murder. Barry and Sammy, shocked, tried talking them out of it, and this made Ice suspicious as he uses one of the knives to slash Barry, revealing his true form. Realizing they were spies, the group planned to eliminate them. Frank was sleeping in Jack, when suddenly Barry called on him telling him his life was in danger. They led Jack and Frank to the outskirts of the city and closed the gate as the food decided to exile Frank for good. Frank felt betrayed by Barry and Sammy as Barry explained it was the only way they could keep him alive. Jack tried climbing the gate, but was unable to. The foods also exiled Barry and Sammy as they didn't want a betrayal among them, and warned them never to step foot in Ftopia again, or they will be killed. Barry and Frank had a disagreement because they were now exiled to the wild and didn't have anywhere to go. Sammy was able to talk to both of them and make them see the bright side. Jack suggested they could go to his hometown, and they began heading there. After walking for a while, Jack's legs grew tired, and he couldn't continue, so Barry took control of the situation by grabbing his balls and forced him to run for miles. They stopped for a moment as Jack makes a joke about Barry's wife being bald, and this made Barry slap him as he told Jack to keep his wife's name out of his mouth, referencing Will Smith and Chris Rock. Jack apologized, and they continued. They finally arrived at Jack's hometown, but they had to cross a fragile tunnel. The food took cover in his pocket as Jack had to cross the tunnel. The pocket made Barry and Frank remember the time they were still in their package. Their movement made Jack lose balance as he hit the tunnel wall, and it began to fall apart, but Jack was able to run out of the tunnel before it fell off completely. They finally arrived at Jack's hometown, but something was off about it, as it was silent. Jack began to cry on noticing the dead bodies of the people he knows. At night, they were still wondering as Jack's bad salt began wearing off, and he began to see his friends as food again. At that moment, Barry and Frank began to argue when they noticed they were being ambushed by multitudes of foods. The food attacked them as they ran, but soon realized that the foods were only after Jack. The food caught up to Jack and bit him several times. Barry came to his aid and controlled his movement, and they all escaped by jumping off a cliff. Barry and Frank continued their argument as Sammy tried to break it off. The fight was ongoing until Frank brought their attention to a shining light. They looked and were amazed by what they saw. Stay tuned for more episodes of Sausage Party Season 2 on its mythical, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more mind-blowing recaps like this. Thanks for watching.